Good evening, everyone, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. This evening, we have a treat for us. We have Miss Cordelia Funches. She's originally from Mississippi, but now she lives in Dallas, Texas. She is a veteran in the cosmetology industry, but her passion is being an advocate for domestic violence. Over the years, she has gained a love to bring awareness and encourage women city to city and state to state. She enjoys singing, she enjoys decorating, and she enjoys volunteering. Miss Cordelia has launched her publishing company, Rebirth.
Yes.
Miss Cordelia is also the author of The Voice of a Survivor. Thank you so much for joining in this evening, Miss
You're
Cordelia.
welcome. You are
Thank
so
you
welcome.
so much. So you are an advocate for domestic violence.
Correct.
What are some things that people need to consider or people may need to be conscientious of when people are on those journeys as far as being supporters or being those who need somebody while they're going through that type of storm in their life?
I think the first thing that that's very important that people need to consider is no judge zone. There has to be a no judgment zone. Because that man or woman, has already encountered enough and may not have that support system where they can go to and confide in what's going on, behind closed doors. And they may not have that support system to say, okay, well, come with me and let me help you. So I always, and this is from experience, no judging. You have to be understanding because maybe you may not have went through that before and you don't know what it has done to a person inside and outside. So you have to be understanding, you have to be that counselor, you have to be that ear, you have to be that shoulder for them, and not pointing the finger, saying it's your fault because you stayed, or it's your fault because you allowed he or she to do you that way. So that's very, very important.
For those who may be in a season and they're looking at you and they was like, okay, she's a survivor. I'm hearing her. She can relate to me, but yet and still they may feel stuck. They still may feel stuck. I know it's probably people that read your book, hear your story, see you. I'm pretty sure they wish that they could just touch and just grab you and just bring you near. But what would be your message for them, even in the season of being real fearful and very afraid? What are some insight, some things of insight that you could give those people right now?
I would tell them first, definitely trust God. Without him, you're not going to have the courage. He's not going to give you that lead way. You have to have an open mind and want to come out of that box. And from experience, it's not easy. You may have that encounter one day and be like, okay, I'm done. It's enough. I'm going to leave. But after the storm has calmed down, then you're back in the honeymoon stage and it's like, okay, it's all good, I'm good, I don't want to stay. And then you block out the help and the people that are there that can assist you from getting yourself out of that situation. So you first have to trust God. You first have to want the help. A lot of people cry wolf. Of course I did it. Yeah, I want the help. Yes, help me, help me, help me. But when that help comes, oh, they've changed, or no, I can't leave because I don't have anywhere to go, or I can't leave because I don't work, or I can't leave because I have children. Those were all my excuses because I was afraid to kind of step out and know what life was about without him. And not knowing what was going to happen because he provided 95%. I didn't want to know what it's going to be like not having a nice home or a nice car to drive, or a nice handbag on my shoulder, a nice pair of heels, or rings and things like that. So a lot of things played a part for me staying, but mainly I believe it was the finances and the children. So I just want them to know that you got to stay on your knees. You got to ask God for courage. You got to ask God for the strength. You got to ask God for healing. Because if you're not going in that closet, whether you go in the closet or you go in the bathroom, brushing your teeth, have that talk with God and let him know, hey, I'm open, God. I hear you. I don't want to be in this life anymore, but I need you. I need you. Only you and God are able to help you out of this.
So how important is it for those who may have went through that storm to stay active in advocating and bringing awareness for everyone else?
The first thing, that survivor has to go through the healing process. There's no way that they can go out and advocate and spread awareness about domestic violence until they have completed those healing steps. And they've given themselves, and they've forgiven the person that did this to them, regardless if that person asks for forgiveness or not. You have to be strong enough to say, okay, they're not gonna, ask me for forgiveness. They're not gonna come to me and tell me I'm sorry and be genuine about it. So I have to be that person and say, okay, I forgive you. And, you may not be able to say it to them, but, you say it to yourself and you say it to God, and he hears you. So the healing process first, and then it makes you stronger to be able to go out and tell your story so you can help others. And in my volunteering and, just being an advocate for the years that I have, it's just being able to connect with different women at, earliest ages 13, because that's our younger generations now. They're the one that's starting to experience it. It's not more percentage of the older generation, it's the younger generations now. Mm-hmm. So first, just go through the healing process. It's a process. It's not something that's going to happen. You leave Wednesday, you're going to be ready to jump up and run Monday. It doesn't work that way. And then you're able to get out and tell people, okay, hey, I went through this. I'm strong now. I want to get in and volunteer, and I want to go out and help the community, because this stuff happens every 35 to 40 seconds a day in America.
Wow. So I heard you elaborate on that you come in contact with more younger people as well that are victims mm-hmm. of this trauma.
Right.
This I don't even have the right phrase for it.
Right.
What are some messages for a teenager who may come across this video? What would be some words of encouragement you could give them right now?
I would first tell them, love yourself. That's the main thing. Love yourself, know your worth, get your education, because a lot of that plays in place of abuse. They'll bring you dumb, you don't know nothing, you didn't finish school, you didn't go to college, you don't have no degree. They know what buttons to push to trigger you. You have to know your worth. And I've seen hands-on where they're in school and they meet somebody, okay, and he says I'm beautiful, and he may buy you a little something, he may buy you this. You have to pay attention to those red flags, because those red flags, they're lining up to set you up for a trap. And the younger generation, they really don't know anything and the meaning of domestic violence. They may say, okay, well, yeah, he just pushed me because I want to let him see my phone, or because I didn't answer. That's a form of domestic violence, and we have to be okay with having these conversations with the younger generation, so they'll know, okay, well, him pushing you, it's not okay, it's not cute, or he didn't mean it, he's just doing it, because he's in front of his friends. There's something wrong, and it's not okay. So young ladies, young men, because our males, they go through it too. You may not hear a lot about it, but it's happening. Pay attention to those signs. And they always say love doesn't hurt. It doesn't.
For those who are raising children, what are some things that caregivers, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandparents, older siblings, older cousins, anybody who may be raising somebody, what are some behaviors that we probably need to pay attention to so that we can kind of help prevent some of this behavior from somebody who commits, what
Right.
are some things that we need to be conscientious of, that we need to be aware of as children are going through and getting older? Because if there are signs, and if we pay attention to the signs, then if we can start working on slowing down some of this behavior, or putting some discipline, or maybe some type of repercussions behind things, like you're outside playing and somebody do something, you go up, push the little girl from behind, or you just stick your foot out and you trip the boy coming, getting on the bus. What are some signs and some things that people could probably do in the upbringing process to probably help slow some of this behavior down?
The first thing I'm going to say is that us as parents, like you said, aunts or whatever, because we do have children that's in the care of others than their actual biological parents. You have to have open communication. Be available, talk to them. How's your day? Anything happened today? We know we're busy doing our own thing, but now in time, we have to make time for the younger generation, because they encounter so much on a daily basis in school with social media, clicks, and different things that's going on right now. So an open line of communication is a must. Hear them out, what they have to say. Not, I know you didn't do this. Why would you do this? Don't point the finger, just listen. And then another thing, their behavior, like you said before. If you know that child is normally, a jolly child, and, rarely acts out. And if they start to do that, question, pay attention, get on their social media. Hey, pull up your Facebook. Let me see what's going on today. The phone, pay attention to the phone being kept, gatekeep, being a gatekeeper of their electronic devices. And they haven't been doing that previously. That's a big thing, because of course it's going to come through text message, or it's going to come through the DMs. You have to pay attention to those signs. And if, they're saying, oh, well, I don't want to go over there today, or I don't want to do this today, and they haven't been acting like that, sit them down and take some time out with them and figure out what's going on, because you may be able to, resolve that issue right away. And it's not going further where you have to go to the school, file a restraining order, or, this person is being harmed physically, or is messing with their mental state. So I always tell people, have an open a line of communication, with your child, or even with somebody else's child, because they may not have it at home. And you're the neighbor, and this child, or somebody's at your church, or your child's friend. And, some parents, don't like it, don't talk to my child. But as we grew up, that's how it was. But now it's totally different, I understand. But be observant, because we have to pay attention to what's going on with these children.
So how important is it that people need to understand? How important is it to spend that quality time with children so they can get that nourishment, they can get that how important is that? Like, I know we're working, I know we're in a busy world. It's like it's always something, and it appears to be that there is less and less unity time. There's less and less family time. There's less and less quality time. So what are some things that people need to consider as far as making space to be able to do that? Because some of this can be aftermath of
Mhm.
somebody not getting the
Right.
attention that's needed and necessary as a younger child.
And you're definitely right about that. And we as parents, like I said, we're busy, mainly starting from 7 to 6 p.m. I'm sure depends on what we do on a daily basis, but we have to set out some time weekly to sit down and talk with our children. Like I said, let's have family time. Hey, 30 minutes. Let's do 20, 30 minutes. How was your day? What's going on? Did something happen, that you felt uncomfortable? We have to open that door and make them feel comfortable to talk about what's going on with them, because guess what? You're not giving them that quality time that opens up that door for that abuser, whether it's physical, it's verbal, or whatever, for that abuser to walk in, because that child is not receiving that nourishment and that love and that attention at home. And they go to school, and Bob is out there, oh, okay, you are bad, or you cute, what's going on? And hey, there's the light bulb. Oh, well, he cares. My parents don't care. So guess what? They're gonna keep it is as it is at home, shut door policy, no interaction, and then they're going to go out there with Bob and spill all the beans, and then that gives him the leeway to say, oh, okay, she looking for love, I got her, let me act like I want to love her, and then when I get her where I want her, then I can push her around and call her names and tell her you bet not, or you better do this. So we have to make time for our children.
Yes, yes. What is your motivation to just keep you pushing? Because you're a busy lady, and you having this advocacy that you're doing is nothing that just started overnight.
Right.
And but for some people, they can go through traumatic things, but yet and still their mental energy is not there to want to even deal or even try to deal. What is
Mhm.
your motivation to keep you going to help so many other people?
Well, I'm going to start first saying, as I was going through my storms and things like that, my motivation to want to get out and do something else and feel back to normal than what I was before I got into this situation with my children. Because the only thing I could think about was, okay, if I continue to stay here, I mean, I'm shrinking. And then if I shrink into nothing, who's going to be there to support them? I can't just leave this for my parents or my siblings, or for their aunts to do. They are my responsibility regardless. So again, my children were my motivation. And after I went through the healing process, and I forgave myself for allowing me to be in that position for over 17 years. I did the counseling session. I tried to get back closer to God, because I knew my worth, but you can say brainwashed. Well, you got a child already, so who gonna want you with 3 kids? I'm the only one that wants you. So I just felt like, okay, he right. Why start over? And you've been into this for 17 years. So the motivation now is that I've seen, what advocacy could do. I see what prayer does. I see what volunteering and coming together as a community does for people. So that motivates me to get out there to keep pushing, letting them know that purple matters. Because people don't think, okay, yes, pink is for breast cancer, and we hear it every day, even though October is designated for domestic violence and breast cancer. But we have to keep pushing about the Purple Heart, about purple. Purple matters. We have to let them know what that means and what it stands for. So I'm all about, no shame in my game. Hey, I'm going to tell you what I went through, because guess what? Guess what I'm doing now? God spared me. I let him in, and he told me, and I remember this day, I was in the hospital after an incident that we had, and he came to me, he said, Cordelia, this it, love. 17 years, sugar. I stayed with you. It's up to you what you want to do now. You keep asking me for help. I keep opening up that door. And when things get nice, you shut it. And then here comes turmoil again. So you, I'm giving you this chance to say enough is enough. And when I did that, I mean, it was just like being born again. I mean, just peace. You could sleep. You don't have to worry about nobody kicking in the door, nobody you in the bathroom, they want to come jump on you while you're in the tub. It was just a peaceful process after I left and started to relive my life and get myself together. So that just motivates me because I know if I could do it and there's somebody out there that needs the help and that's willing to accept it, then we're going to help them.
Wow. I want to tell you thank you.
You're welcome.
Because it's such an inspiration, it's such a motivation. You have your book.
Yes,
So
I do.
let's briefly tell us about your book and where your book can be. I actually have a copy of your book. Yes, ma'am. It's in my
Yes,
closet, but I got that book a few years ago.
yes, yes.
Yes.
And the thing is, I always journal, and I've always been a private person, but when I spoke with God and he told me, listen, you had a purpose, or you thought you had a purpose of what you wanted to do with your life, which I'm a veteran in the cosmetology field. That's all I knew. And when I opened up that door for healing and for safety, he gave me another purpose. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, because I'm able to go in and speak with people and tell them, listen, girl, I went through some stuff, but look at me now. I still have scars that you can see, but I'm filled with joy. I'm happy. I'm at peace. I have love. I know my worth. And I want to share that with you. So I used to journal a lot, and writing never crossed my mind because, the counseling session was what helped me through that process. And I kept those books shut. Every now and then, I may go through and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I wrote that. And when I relocated, I became close with the young lady, and I kind of let her in about some of the stuff that I had encountered. She was like, girl, no, there's no way. You don't look like that. And I said, well, answer this question. What does a domestic violence victim survivor supposed to look like? You can't say. You can go out there and see somebody in a $1 million mansion and they are being abused. So you can't say that, no, you weren't abused, girl. You don't know what domestic violence is. So I had to share some things with her to make her believe me. And she came back the next day and she said, have you ever thought about writing a book? And I said, no, I'm just going to continue to uplift my children, because they were young adults, young children when this happened, to make sure that they continue to get the help that they need. So it won't affect them in their future. But no, writing, no, I don't want to do that. And she said, I think you should. So she connected me with these people. It was a Black-owned company, owned by 4 guys. And COVID had just hit and we were sent home from work. And I just kept saying, why does this keep coming up on my mind, Lord? Why I keep waking up thinking about what she told me? And he said, just go for it. So I reached out to them, and he said, well, what is it about? And I said, well, I could just tell you that it's an autobiography of, and I told them, like I said, have you ever heard of Good Girl Gone Bad? And, they just laughed and they like, no, not you. I said, there you go. You're judging a book by its cover. And they said, well, I tell you what, type up what you have and email it to us and let us read it. So it took about 2 weeks before I decided, that's what I wanted to do. And I typed up everything and I emailed it to them. And he said, because of COVID, everything is going to be done by Zoom. And I said, well, that's fine. So I got an email maybe the next day after I sent them the manuscript. And he says, you got a second? I said, yes. He said, listen, we need to set up a call, because I need to talk to you for a second. I was like, okay. He said, me and my coworkers, and we read it, and I just got to turn the camera on because we sit here in this conference and we're all just crying like some little babies. And I mean, it just took my breath away, because I'm like, what? He was like, this is a good one. He said, I feel that God placed you here for a purpose, and you don't find people that's willing to put their story out there. So we think that this would be a good hit. Let's do it. Get the audience involved, and let's start healing some people and helping some people. So that's how I got started. They walked me through the process, how to publish and, what you need. And I thought it was just going to be a bad journey, but it wasn't. It was a real quick journey. It was an amazing feeling to have my life story put in a book and share it with people all over the world, and people reacting like, you got to be kidding me. Wow. And I said, I'm doing this because God saved me. Wow. That's it. But yeah, so it's The Voice of a Survivor, A Diamond's Journey. And I fought myself probably over a month on the title. And there was a guy on duty, and he was helping doing titles and stuff, sending me stuff. And I was reaching out to my cousin and letting her know that, hey, I've decided to do this. And she was like, good for you. What is the name? And I said, I don't know. I know it's my voice. And we were late night sending texts 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning saying, this is what I came up with. I couldn't sleep, and I was writing stuff in my journal. And I woke up. Well, during the process, I had a bad wreck. And I kept saying, okay, Lord, what is it that you're telling me? What is it? Every time I try to launch my hair business or do something blocks it. So I knew that ain't what he wanted me to do. He said, listen, you done had over 20, 30 years in the hair business, ma'am. Sit down. We got another plan. We got some more work to do. So I woke up after I had the surgery from the wreck, and Diamond in the Rough, it just kept coming to my mind. And I woke my sister up and I said, God keep placing a diamond in the rough on me, and I don't know what it's for. And I said, I don't know if it's meant for me to put it in my book, or is it for me to start a foundation? I don't know what this is for. So I put it in my journal and I prayed over it. And the next day, me and the guy, we met up on Zoom, and he says, these are some 3 topics, the topics that I came up with. And it has something to do with a diamond. It says something about a survivor and about a voice. And I said, I got it. And I said, I chose diamond because a diamond goes through so much before it forms to something that shines. And I felt like that I went through so much, the dirt, the grit, the concrete, and then God develops this beautiful thing, and I shine like a diamond. So that's where the name came from. Wow. And I didn't have to think twice. I didn't second guess myself. That's what it was. So yeah, so it was an amazing journey, writing the book. And then people were saying, so what you gonna do next? And I said, nothing. I have nothing else to talk about. And I was networking with this group, this foundation out of California, from social media, and they reached out to me and they was like, look, we want you to come to California because we want you to tell your story and get connected with our girls group. And I did that, and she was telling me how she wrote her second book. And she went into her book and she poured out chapters about healing, loving, coming closer to God. So I put that in place, and I said, okay, I think I need to do that. So I've told my story on what happened to me. And now it's time to tell the story on how I did the healing process and what it takes to heal from being a domestic violence survivor. So that's when I wrote the second book, then the third book. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and people had been reaching out about, they needed help and they wanted to. So the guy said, the ropes, we've given you the skills. And I took a class, and it was just simple steps. So I said, okay, I'm going to launch my own publishing company, children books, journals. And now my daughter, she's went through the healing process. And she's been an advocate for the younger generation with women, having Bible class. And I've just assisted her with completing her project about being free BU. So that journal will be published mid-March, and it'll be out available for people to buy. And I mean, it's really amazing. She's done a great job. So.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, I'm having technical difficulties.
Okay.
No. Okay, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful. That's why I love technology. When one thing go out, we can get something else. We can get something else going. So you got your, one thing I can appreciate about you is your constant endurance.
Mm-hmm.
And how you're true enough, you're a voice, but you're still in action.
Right.
So you're still doing things, and you're still motivating and inspiring others. And even though you are a legend in the hair industry, and even though you have 20 and 30 plus years with that, I still commend the fact that what you went through, you took something and you utilized it to help heal others.
Right.
And I think that's something we all can truly learn from.
Right.
That my heart go out to anybody that goes through any form of trauma.
Right.
But I still think that it is very important to acknowledge the fact that this is something that everybody can learn from, no matter what they have been through, where they are in life, no matter their age, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their beliefs. That if we could just pause and think about what have we overcome, and utilize that to help others, these are the things that help make the world truly a better place.
That's right. You're definitely right about that.
And it's just
anybody. It could be anybody. You know, you say, "Oh, I never do that. I never do that," but you get with somebody, and you know they get in that head and get in that heart. You know, anything is possible to happen. So I don't like when people say, "Oh, I never let nobody do it," and I wouldn't have thought it either. You know, people, you too cute for that. I thought you were smarter than that. It doesn't matter. You have people out there, lawyers, doctors, surgeons, they're being abused in some form or fashion. You can't just say because, oh, well, she a doctor, she ain't finna let nobody do that to her. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors with people.
And I like the fact of something you specified earlier on the call, reminding people that when people go through stuff, don't be so critical and judgmental. Don't talk down on them, because their storm is punishment by itself.
Right, exactly.
But I think we forget that. I think we forget that if you're going through something, you don't need me to constantly remind you
that I'm in it,
that you're in it.
Right. No, you need somebody to be there. You know, most people just, they're afraid because, like you said, well, why you there? Don't you know you could deserve better? Go do this. That's traumatizing. That's bringing more trauma to that person.
So where can we find your books?
You can actually, I know Amazon was carrying it. I know that they were low on stock a couple of weeks ago, so I haven't went in and checked to see if they've did a reload, but I do have a website, thevoiceofasurvivor.com. And if you go to the Voice of a Survivor on Instagram, my link is in my bio, and you can click that link, and all of my books are on there, even the children books. And I think I have some journals and stuff that's still posted on the website also.
And I'm going to make sure I go and pull that and share the content, elsewhere. In closing, what words of inspiration do you have? I like people to end it on a it's been a good call, but I can't have your voice, even though I'm blessed to be in your presence right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. But what closing words of inspiration could you give us all? Just in general, whatever it is.
I just want to piggyback back on what I said earlier. Love yourself, regardless of what somebody else says or how they treat you. Know that you're worthy of more than a bitch or whatever it is they may swear at you. Learn how to turn the other cheek. Know that there is help out there. If you don't have someone in your household, know you have hotlines, you have nonprofits in your areas, you have churches. There's a lot of help out there, so you don't have to fight this battle alone. But the main thing, you got to get on your knees and have that talk and have that discussion, have that plea for help with God, because once you have that plea with him and he knows that you mean that you're ready to stop and you want to get out of that four corner box, then that's when the doors are going to open.
I want to thank you again, Miss Cordelia. You're welcome. I promise we're gonna have to get you back on again.
Okay, whenever you need me.
Yes, but please go support her. Go to her IG page, Voice of a Survivor.
Yes.
It's under her name, Cordelia, Funches, Funcchess. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Lisa. I really appreciate it. And my hand goes up to you for what you're doing. So
thank you.
Anytime you need me and I'm available, I don't mind.
Thank you so much. And you be blessed, okay?
You too. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.